ready to get back doing some turning. Found me a nice piece of spalted pecan out there under my shed. It's got really nice spalting in it, good colors, and you know, pecan, if you leave it out kind of in the weather, basically this piece here I cut from raw logs and cut bowl blanks. I cut the logs in half, and some of those I cut down into spindle type blanks like this, and that's where I get a lot of my vase blanks from. But a lot of times I'll just leave them out there. I'll just leave them out in the out in the weather as a log form or as bowl blank form or whatever. Just leave them out there laying on the ground in the weather for, you know, a few months. That's when they start developing, you know, different types of spalting and things like that. This wood is not rotten. It's hard right now. But this blank is about 11 inches tall, or 12 inches tall. And I figure by the time that I square these off, square off the ends, it'll be about 11 inches. And I'll be adding a segmented transition ring in the middle and a segmented lip around the top. So I'm thinking about using some sapele for that, or maybe perhaps mahogany. Don't really know, but we'll see when I get to that point whatever, you know, may look best. But anyway, I've already marked the centers. I've already marked both centers, and this is one of them that I had sealed the ends on with the wax. Now I'm going to mark them. I'm just going to punch the centers. Just going to punch the centers and drill them out. I'll only go about a 1/4 inch deep with my drill. And this is just to give my spur center and my live center a good place to square up on. And I'm going a little bit smaller than the middle of my spur here. So a little bit smaller than the middle of my spur, because what I want to happen is the middle of the spur, I want to go into the hole, but before it actually touches, before the spurs actually touch, I want it to center up. And that's why I drill a smaller hole than what the spur is. But anyway, this is the top side because it's a little bit narrower than the bottom. I just cut this blank out with the chainsaw, so it's not perfectly straight or anything like that. But this is the most narrow one. I want to put it on the top. Alright, we're ready to go to the lathe. Alright, 2 inch right there, but that'll be okay because that's all going to be sloping down. Alright, check out these colors in this though, the browns and whites and spalting. I think this is going to be a pretty piece. we'll see shortly. Tilt this tenon. Just make sure the tenon's good and true. Nice square shoulder right there. Okay. Okay. What I'm looking at now is I've got it all laid out. I've got my tenon on both ends. I'm going to cut these lines right here, represent where my segmented sections are going to go. And so I'm going to take it to the bandsaw. I'm going to cut this off, and I'm going to cut this off. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to cut all my segmented pieces, and I'm going to go with 8-sided pieces on this one. Just mainly because it's not a very big diameter, and I like to have a little bit of a flash. May end up going with 12, but I'll just see, you know, what I end up really liking once it's done. But anyway, these two lines represent my segmented sections. From here up will actually be gone off the piece, and this will all be a segmented section around the top rim. And there'll be a segmented section separating the bottom from the top. Okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna get my hacksaw out, and I'm gonna go ahead and mark these and get them cut down to a decent little depth. It'll help guide my bandsaw nice and straight, and then I'll be right back. Well, thought I was recording. Anyway, I cut these with my bandsaw. Basically, I kept the lathe at a slow speed. It's around 900 RPMs. I just come in with my hacksaw and cut this out, just like that. And then I move to the next one and cut it out. While you're doing this, if you'll keep your hacksaw up against your body and keep a hand resting on the top, it'll be pretty easy to cut. I've gone down. I've got about a 2-inch cut left that I'll knock out on the bandsaw. And what this will do is this will ensure that my bandsaw blade cuts perfectly straight through there. And all right, well, I'll be right back. Alright, now I just need to know my outside diameter. And the way I'll do that is I'll line the edge of the ruler up to the edge of the piece. And I'll come around until I hit the longest point. Once I hit the longest point, which is about 4 1/8 right here, then I know that's my outside diameter that I'll shoot for with my segmented pieces. Okay, so I know I need a 4 1/8 inch outside diameter, and the inside diameter really doesn't matter because I'm going to be hollowing it out anyway. but I'll probably try to come in to about inch and a half, 2 inches, whatever in here, because this is going to be sloped. It's going to be sloped in, and I'll need extra width inside here. So, all right, well, let me get my mahogany out, and I will get started cutting these things. Okay, now the diameter on this thing is the same in the middle as it is on the top, and that's kind of the way I want to end it up. So when I cut these segments, I'm going to do both rings to the same specs, except for the top lip will be thicker. So I'm going to start out cutting off my transition ring, and it's going to be a 1/2 inch wide. So I'm going to run this through at a 1/2 inch wide, and then I'll actually a little bit proud, because I'll be doing a little bit of sanding on it, but not much, not even a 30-second. But anyway, here we go. Cut this down 1/2 inch wide. There's my transition side. I'm going to move to 3/4. I'm going to cut my piece for the ring. For my lip. Alrighty, I didn't cut that straight, so I'm going to take a little bit more off of it, run it back through one more time. Alright, okay, I've got my 2 pieces cut. I've got one cut 1/2 inch wide, and I've got one cut 3/4 inch wide. So, all right, let me show you how I get all these calculations. I need my conversion thing here. All right, to start out with, I've downloaded this little program here. It's called Segment Calculator. And I got it from Google Play Store. And anyway, it makes figuring out a ring of segments, easier. You just start out. You've got three blanks to fill out. You start out with the inner radius, and this is 4-inch diameter altogether. So I'm looking at about maybe 2 inches on the inside. That's not very important, but so I'm going to say the inner radius is 1 inch. Then we move to the outer radius, which is about 4 1/4 is the diameter. So 2.125, I believe that's 1/8 inch. I'll double check that. Yes, 1/8 is 0.125, so that's half my diameter. Now I'm going to plug in 12 segments, because that's what I've decided to go with, and then you just hit calculate. When you hit calculate, it brings it up here and shows you that your cutting angle is going to be 15. The segment length, which is the long side, is going to be the segment length is going to be the short side. Or the width is going to be this side over here, and this side will be 1.16, but I'm not really worried about that. It's the segment length is the important one. 1.14, and I'll look here to get my, I'll look on here, 1.14, 1.87, 1.15, that's 5/32. That's probably going to be my closest one. Okay, so right here I've got 1.56, which is very close to the to what I had on my calculator at 1.14. So I'm going to cut this at 5/32. Is what is the length, 1 and 5/32. Okay, I'm going to get my segmenting sled out and get this started. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my sled on the table now, so I'm getting ready to get started. I'm going to go ahead and I want 12 segments, so I'm going to set my arm for 12, lock the pin. Okay, that's good to go. Now, and check my angle. Now, when I bring my blade through here, I've found that to help avoid some tear out on the back side, bring your blade up a little bit higher than what you normally would, so that it's cutting more downward and you get more support from the wood and less tear out. I mean, you're going to sand the fuzzies anyway, but this makes for a little bit less. Now what I want to do is just chop this corner off and start my 15-degree angle right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to run that through. Alright. Now, my long length is 1 inch and 5/32, according to my segment calculator. So I'm going to go here. I'll probably have to go get my glasses to actually get it. And measure 1. See, that's an 1/8, quarter. All right, 5/32, which is just bigger than 1 1/8. So we'll mark that. All right, that's 1 and 5/32. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure. All right, so now I've got my mark here. I want to set it to the outside kerf right there, and I'll go ahead also bring up my stop block. Just to make sure everything's held in position good. Make sure that this one can hold on. Okay, it's out of the kerf, so I don't have to worry about that. Tighten it down. Okay, all right, good to go there. Now I'm ready to make a test cut, just to make sure it's going to be good and accurate. See how she does. Cut right on the line there. That's a good cut. So I should be at the right length now. 1 and 5/32. That looks like that to me. So I need 12 of those. So all I'm going to do is just start flipping it. Lock her down. Cut 12. Actually, I'll cut 13. That way I have one extra in case something goes wrong. Okay, that gives me 13. And then I'll just get set up to cut my 1/2 inch ones for my 1/2 inch thick pieces of my transition ring. So what all I have to do with my sled is just change the depth of my hold down clamp. So I'll change that. I'll back this up. Okay, I got 100 grit sandpaper, and there's really not very many fuzzies on these things. The ones that do have them, I'll hit on the sandpaper just a little bit. Only the flat sides, do not these edges here. Okay. If you hit this edge right here, you can mess up your you can end up with gaps. Man, that bringing the saw blade up was actually an experiment, but it left almost no fuzzies on here. I've got an extra. Forgot I cut 13. Alright. Now, a good thing to do here also is to go ahead and put a rubber band around it just so you can kindly tighten them up. I hate putting rubber bands around these things. But anyway. Maybe all right, good segmented ring there. So now all I got to do is glue them up. And the way I'll glue these is just, I'll glue them 3 at a time. Take my glue, make sure there ain't no glue stuck on the top part of it. Sometimes glue, get that little film on the top and you can't get glue out. Alright, I'll put glue on one side, and on the other side. I'll put these two together, and I'll put these two together. And just kind of, push them together. And I'll do the next 3. And as I put them together, I'll kind of move them around a little bit. And that lets the glue get in the top and the bottom. Just kind of rub them together a little bit like that. Well, that was a different section. Okay. Alright. And that just kind of puts them, and they'll hold together a little bit right there. Move on to the next ones. So I got 4 sections. I'll glue this one to those 2, and then I'll come back and I'll put that one in. So I need to take this one out. And a little extra here. And what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and smear this around some with my finger on these, because I don't want to have to pick those others up so much. And it just goes right in there just like that, and I put them together. Then I'll move over here to these, glue them in, and I'll have to manipulate some of these around a little bit, because all the corners won't line up and stuff like that until I get ready to put the rubber band on. But I spread the glue out a little bit, just using my finger. Put that section in there. Okay. All right. All right, now I get a couple rubber bands on it. Hold everything in place while I get everything straightened out. All right, I had another rubber band somewhere. I'm gonna put 2 on these. Well, there it is. Now, you start going around and hitting all your corners. Make sure all your corners are lined up. They're all pressed down, good and tight. Alright. Now, wipe off my excess. Alright. There we go. 12-sided segmented ring. Didn't have to do any sanding on halves. It's a good, nice, good, tight glue joint between all of them. So I'll move on to the half, the transition ring one, and then and I'll be back in just a few minutes. Well, these segmented rings are they're dry now. Of course, they're probably not fully cured, but I'm going to go ahead and sand them, get the faces flat, and I've already marked circles or rings with a pencil all the way around these things, so I can tell when I get them flat. And I've got both sides marked. But anyway, we'll get started. Let me get my hair going. Okay, let's get this rolling. Still got a few marks left. Marks are gone, that side's flat. Now I'll make them parallel by sanding the other side. Keep your fingers out from under that drum from the front side. Okay, I got my rings flat now. So what I'm getting ready to do now is get ready to glue this thing up. And I'm going to start with the top. Both pieces will be glued to the top section, which is this. Now, I made a mark. This is the bottom section. This is the top section. I made a mark. Let me see. It's a triangle shape right there, and right here. Now the triangles match up. I know this is the bottom of the vase. This is the top of the vase. So this is going to be my lip. So I need it on the top. So that's my orientation right there. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm just going to put glue on this on this mahogany segmented ring right here. I'm just going to put plenty of glue because this is end grain. I may even go back and put glue on it also. I don't care about any squeeze out. If it squeezes out, then that's fine with me. I'll worry about it later. Alright. The thing is with that being end grain, if you don't have a really good, if you don't have a lot of glue on it, then you'll have a weak joint. So I'll put glue around that too. Just, you know, to kind of let it pre-soak. Alright. That's good enough there. Alright. And I'll place it. Wiggle it around a little bit till it begins to stick, which it just did. And then I'll take my little ruler and just kind of center it up according to this. I got about 3/32. A little bit less. Let's see if I can move this way just a touch. Okay. Seconds. Okay, a little far this way, just a hair. And that'll get me centered up really, really close. I'm not really looking for a cigar on this one because it's not part of a very intricate segmented plan. I just want enough there to where I can cut what I need to cut and then not worry about the rest because I'll be cutting it all out anyway. So anyway, there's that. We'll do it the same way. Okay, now the end that I cut off that had my tenon on the top is this. I've already made sure it's nice and true and flat to accept these parts. Now I'm just getting ready to glue them on it. And I'll do that. I'm going to use wood glue for that also. So I'll put a bead of glue around this. That'll make a very, 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 very strong glue joint for that tenon and all of that. Wood glue is very strong. I learned that when I was building my shop dust collector. My impeller came apart on it, but it didn't come apart at the glue joints. It came apart on the plywood ply that they actually separated. The plywood actually separated. I couldn't believe that. But I'll put this here. And I'll go ahead and bring this up. Let me grab something here. Alright. Hold this kind of in place right there. Bring in my tailstock, and all this will do is just add a little bit of stability. Now I can come back and center it up good. Get everything nice and centered. Just want to make sure that this is dead flat when I go to mount, and it is now. I'm sitting perfectly flat here, perfectly flat here, all the way around. So now that's ready to take out. Take it out of the chuck. mount the bottom piece in. Same process. Okay, I'm slightly concave in the middle. Looks good. Okay, that should make a very good, nice glue face. Alright, move my tool rest out of the way. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm going to attach the bottom to the top. I'm going to use it with a newspaper right here. I'm just going to get some glue on here. Remember, this is all ingrain. This is going to be just a temporary glue up here. But I need it to be strong enough for me to shape the outside first. Okay. Alright. Then I'll just take this piece and glue it and this is an ingrain, so I'm not too awful worried about it. Bring up the tailstock, bring this up, and there I've got two flat surfaces to make together here. Now then, give it a little bit of a twist there to make sure that's going to stay together. Now, okay. Alright. Now, what that newspaper will do is allow me to break this thing apart again later. And I'll probably end up just using a hacksaw to cut down that line, but it'll allow me to get my shape the way I want it. So, alright, well, I'll be back in the morning, and that should be good and cured up by then, and I will see you then.